Shut up and sit down.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening from wherever you're listening across the world. Welcome to another episode of Just Ball Things with you today in video format. First time here, so give us a chance. With me today, as always, via Skype, and everyone can see his beautiful, beautiful face. The J-Man, Jack Manuel. How are you, buddy? You were made for this video platform, it looks like.
Yeah, we were just talking off wax about gesticulating and gesticating, whatever the correct word is. I'm Swell Nick, and I like basketball.
Beautiful. Who doesn't love basketball? You know, you obviously were made for this video format. I have a face for radio. My name is Nick Busink, and I hope you can all get over my ugly, ugly face.
Oh, Jesus.
This wouldn't be a JBT podcast if I wasn't putting myself down. Obviously, we are very excited to come to you in this new format. Catch us on, we will be on YouTube. As a
Search
sort of
OTG basketball when you're in the YouTubes, and make sure you hit that subscribe button to know those notifications.
Damn right.
Because as well as JBT, there's a heap of other video content dropping that Nick will reveal in his little spiel.
Damn right. We will hopefully, obviously, with this new video take, we can go we can do like a live thing eventually down the line if it starts to take off. So it's all up to you guys and how you guys sort of involve with this video medium that we're putting forward. But at least the YouTube it'll be like this for going forward. You can always still catch us on the normal podcast channels. We'll be releasing the audio to Spotify and iTunes and Spreaker, all of the if you make it to the end of the podcast, all of the platforms that I mention. But we will be adding some more video elements, some videos that you guys can watch, highlight packages, just to get you guys engaged a little bit more. So we definitely recommend joining us on YouTube or eventually down the line maybe Twitch. All right, that was the video plug. Now for the official plug. You can contact us, as you can see, on Twitter at JBT Nick or at the J-Man JBT. We are also closely affiliated, yes, down there. We are closely affiliated with OTG Basketball. You can follow them on Twitter at OTG Basketball. They've got an awesome podcast network and news website where you can keep up to date with all things NBA. So give them a follow. Facebook.com/JustBallThings. We are on Facebook. And jbtpodcast@gmail.com. We can email the show and we will read them out. We might be able to even show the emails. We've got some things in the works.
Nick, we don't want to give away privacy.
I know. We can redact some stuff. It's okay. We'll just zoom in on the text. It's all right. All right, mate, let's get started here. First video podcast. I'm excited. You're excited. For those of you who are new, the Busink-Manuel scale is a JBT-created scale created by us that sums up how likely things are to happen in the NBA. We scale it on alternative fact, Twitter fact, Wikipedia fact, or straight up fact. Maybe now that we can have a video medium, we can show the scale in all its craziness.
Oh, yeah, we should do that. Yeah. Good idea.
All right, Jackie boy, you want to take this first one?
Yeah, I'll introduce this one, Nick, give a bit of a precursor to it. Jay Williams was on ESPN talking about the relationship with LeBron James and Anthony Davis.
Around that was D Wade saying, "Hey, LeBron, take the torch, take it, right? Like we win here, this is how we do it." We're watching the same thing now. We're watching LeBron James pass the torch to AD. AD, kind of similar personality at first, right? Like, I'm not saying AD's extremely gifted, but a little bit passive from time to time, even though he's there. LeBron's like, "Hey, I need you to be a dog all the time." And now we're seeing AD be that guy. We're watching the same thing that happened to LeBron with D Wade happening with LeBron, now passing the torch to Anthony Davis.
See, I don't...
This one... It obviously came out after the massive Game 4 victory for the Lakers, with AD absolutely clutching that three. Was that Game 4 or Game 3? Am I losing my mind?
No, I think it
was
was
Game 3. Oh, Game 2. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Is time?
Is LeBron James passing the torch to Anthony Davis? Where are you putting this one, Jackie boy?
Nick, what's the size of this torch? Are we talking about like one of those massive, big, like campfire torches where, you take it out, it's like industrial, it lights up everything. You don't need your car lights. You only got this massive light. Or you're talking one of those like mini torches that you attach to your keyring. It's like, I can't find my wallet. Where is it? It's in the back seat.
This does seem like an interesting point, given what we just saw LeBron James do in Game 5.
Literally, like, for those who want to see how the burgers get made behind the scenes, I was rearranging the Google Doc that Nick and I used to go on our rundown and our topics, and I'm like, okay, this one needs to go at the top because LeBron James' performance today, 36 or 38 point performance in a triple-double. I think it was like 38 or 36, 16, and 10. It was the LeBron James, the King James, GOAT James. It was absolutely insane. But throughout this series and throughout this playoffs, Anthony Davis might be the best Los Angeles Lakers performer. And I actually put on Twitter throughout this series, before Game 4, I actually believe that Jamal Murray was probably the best player in the entire series in terms of how he was performing. So in saying all that, Nick, I think there has to be at least a Twitter, maybe a wiki, depending on how important you do think Anthony Davis is to the Los Angeles Lakers' success. Because when it comes to LeBron James turning on GOAT mode, no one can stop him. He's proven that. And obviously, against Jeremy Grant, who I think was absolutely awesome, mind you, and Torrey Craig and the Denver Nuggets, whose defense is at the best of times. But I think it's still LeBron James. And this is probably a topic we could hark back to the start of the season, where LeBron James was like, no, this isn't going to be my team. Like, Anthony Davis needs to be the best player. But then we also discussed last week, LeBron James sort of saying, I'm pissed off, I only got 16 MVP votes. Yeah. So that's why we have this scale, partly because there's so much nuance to this topic alone. So I'll give it a Twitter, Nick, because I still think that it's LeBron James at the end of the day, and he is going to assert himself when he needs to, and when this Los Angeles Lakers team needs him to.
Yeah, it's hard to, especially recency bias coming into play with what LeBron James did in this Game 5. You mentioned it there: 38 points, 16 rebounds, 10 assists. He had close to a triple-double in the first half, and then obviously kept rolling it down. Hit one three-pointer, but I think we all know when that three-pointer happened. It was that dagger in the last 2 minutes when literally ran out of options and just hoisted the three. And when those shots are falling for LeBron James, it's the same as like the spinning the ball in front of Porzingis' face and nailing the three in his eye.
I think it was Serge Ibaka.
Oh, was it Ibaka? I thought it was against the Knicks. Anyway,
maybe it was, knowing him, it was probably both.
It was probably both. It's got that similar sort of, it's that confidence. As soon as those shots start falling, it doesn't matter. There's no stopping this freight train. And I've been a little bit, quiet about LeBron James's, performances over the last previous 4 games. Not this one last played, but, and I think Davis was the reason for a lot of those wins, and I don't think that's very far to say. Obviously, he won them that game too with that absolutely crazy three. He's been averaging very high amounts of maybe not rebounds, which was sort of the key for their for the only Lakers loss in this series, the rebounding battle. But I mean, and the argument could have been made then, I think, that is LeBron James passing the torch. He definitely needed AD in this series. It's undeniable that if this was a LeBron-only team, I think they would have lost.
No doubt.
However, it's not a LeBron-only team, and LeBron just proves time and time again how good of a closer he is. Doesn't want to give a team who has come back 3-1 twice, and unprecedented times in the bubble. It could have happened a third time. Obviously, without the road games, it makes 3-1 comebacks a lot easier. Just don't give them a sniff. And I think whoever makes it out of the East has... I don't think they're... Anyway, this is more of a finals prediction, but I'm not going to go into that. But they've got a tough series ahead of them, especially when LeBron James is as locked in as he was in Game 5. So I'm putting this one Twitter fact. He's not passing the torch, but he needs AD's help, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. But we know your Lakers stand-up, your newly found Lakers stand-up, so not necessarily going to listen to you on Lakers opinions anymore, my friend. It's like them or Denver. You're so biased one way or another. And we've got a couple of Denver topics throughout, so I'm hoping for some objectivity from you, my friend.
Mike Malone's comments, just before we go to the next one, like Mike Malone's comments about how proud he is of the Nuggets. Once they came back against the Clippers and won the 3-1 lockdown, 3-1 comeback. And the Mike Malone speech in the locker room, getting ready for the Clippers game. I mean, am I wrong? Was I wrong about Mike Malone? Because he seems to have all of these guys absolutely engaged. He's obviously inspiring these players for 2-3-1 comebacks, something that I didn't think Malone really had it in him. I've been, one of his harshest critics. I didn't think he was such a great coach, but, a lot of coaching is conveying ideas, conveying respect, and he certainly has that amongst all of the Nuggets players. Jamal Murray's been an absolute... Anyway, but we will get onto all of that stuff with the Nuggets. But I'm ready to be wrong about the Nuggets. So I'm happy that this has happened.
I think we're ready to be wrong is the motto of the JBT podcast, basically. And if you can't be good, at least be entertaining. I think we need to make some more T-shirts. I'm wearing one of the style ones nice. Now. But Nick, get those highlight packages ready because I'm about to throw one at you with Jokic and AD. And this is via Robert Flon on Twitter. Jokic is 100% better than AD. Nicholas. Well,
I mean, this is why we have the scale, Jack, because
yes, it is.
100% is a fact. Like, that is, like, on the scale, it is a fact. And I am not putting this fact on the scale. There is no freaking way. The craziness of Jokic that we've seen in this series, even just his shootability, like the lovely rainbow on his 3-point shots that shouldn't look like they go in at all, and then they just absolutely splash in. It's quite incredible. But the athleticism and just point guard-ish skill set of Davis. Sorry, I went blank there. Of the brow.
We're seeing it right now.
That's sort of why I was going blank. I'm watching this guy's... I mean, the assists there to LeBron. I mean, the guy has so much in his basket.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to compare, like, passing. Like, Jokic is clearly a better passer. He's possibly the best passer in the game at the moment.
He is. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. The best big man passer of all time.
Yes, of course. That's yes, obvious. I mean, the guy's court vision and IQ, maturity at 26 as well, at 24.
5, yeah.
5 is insane. Like, the guy is going to be an incredibly good player. He's just a little bit lumbering, but it doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't seem to matter. He still gets to his spots, and if he doesn't, he just shoots and it goes in anyway. So it's like, what could you do against someone who's 7 foot and can play the way that Jokic does? Is he 100% better than AD? No, not. I don't think he's 100% better than AD. Like, there are some things that AD can clearly do better, like the alley-oop dunk that we just saw there. The athleticism
imagine
of
Jokic doing that.
Yeah, I can't imagine Jokic jumping. Like, really, like, I can't see it. And it's just, yeah, the guy is a physical specimen. So I'm going to give AD the nudge. But if we're talking, overall sort of like X's and O's skills, like the deft touches, even the smart plays that Jokic does, I'll give Jokic the edge in that. But physically, oh man, he doesn't even come close to Anthony Davis.
Yeah, both of these guys are generational superstars.
Yeah.
And they're both, nearing at their prime. I think you made a good point about the age, or we sort of touched on the age a little bit there, because there's just sometimes an awareness and sometimes an immaturity from Nikola Jokic defensively. And I think he has shown some strides there this season. You know, the effort is there. He is in better conditioning. You know, we've all seen the skinny Jokic pics, but in general, he just you see him get up the floor like he's a point guard. Like he doesn't necessarily do it with much grace. Nick, I'm sure you can relate to that. We did a whole topic about it a couple of weeks ago.
Very true, very true. I mean, not having much grace is, I think, you're hitting the nail on the head. Like, because he can move, but it's like how Doncic moves. It's not clean. It's not exactly clean, but it's so fast and effective, like deceptively quick and deceptively strong. And I think, Jokic has that in spades.
Yeah, and I think I was touching on the sort of awareness and immaturity sort of topic. For me, he gives away dumb fouls too much for a guy of his caliber. And I think that defenses know how to get to him in that regard. The reason why he won't make as greater of an impact on a game is because he's in foul trouble. And he'll give away dinky fouls if he's frustrated. He's done that probably a lot more in the regular season if you'd like go through some of his tape. He's even done it a little bit in the playoffs. But he's still probably averaging like a triple-double. He had, I think, 18, 10, and 10 or something today, or something, absolutely ridiculous, because he just affects the game in such a meaningful and unique way. But I think that he obviously doesn't have the defensive acumen of Anthony Davis. Not at all.
Exhibit A.
Exhibit A right there. But, Nick, I'm getting over these AD ones. I want to see some relatability. Give me some Nikola Jokic while I'm finishing off some more points here.
Do we have some Jokic ones? Is that
it's
something
the second video, my
linked
guy?
to me?
I put it on there.
Sorry,
Check
my bad.
the goddamn box.
Oh, there is a
Prepared.
second one. I'm sorry.
Be goddamn prepared, Nick. Bloody hell.
I'm working on it, mate. I'm working on it.
But in saying that, I think that both of these guys are 1A guys on near championship teams. We saw Anthony Davis, with the Pelicans, Drew Holiday and Rajon Rondo do some really good things as credible playoff teams. I think Jokic might be better in that regard as a 1A guy. But it's weird because Anthony Davis is almost like the perfect 1B, if that makes any sense. And that's not a detriment to either of them. It's just like you've got your offensive gargantuan behemoth in Nikola Jokic, and then you've got your two-way point guardy defensive dynamo in Anthony Davis. It's both of these guys are the two best big men in the league.
Yep.
I would have Anthony Davis slightly above him in a ranking sort of exercise. If AD is like 5, then Jokic is like 6 or 7. Or you could certainly flip those and make an argument like we have been before. Because how much better are Nikola Jokic's offensive talents in terms of passing, three-point shooting, game awareness, ability to make his teammates better than Anthony Davis's, in terms of what Anthony Davis can do there? But then how much better are Anthony Davis's Defensive Player of the Year level acumen on that end of the floor? I think just Anthony Davis just has a bit more of a well-rounded game, but Anthony Davis can't make that pass.
No, that's some of the stuff that Jokic can just do. And I was a massive fan of I didn't watch him live, but like all the Nash highlights. Yeah. I love a good pass. That's just gorgeous. I love a good pass. I think that's why I sort of resonate with LeBron James a lot as well, because some of the level of passes are just gorgeous. Ben Simmons is one of my favorite players as well. Seeing some of his college highlights is just, I love a good pass. Love a good pass. Love a good block as well. I'm very vocal on the blocks, which is why Anthony Davis, I mean, he's got blocks aplenty. These are two tremendous players, and not to disparage one from the other by comparing them. But I just think right now Anthony Davis is, I'm with you. Just pips him. Just pips him a little bit. Jokic has had a few. I mean, God damn it. What a shot. This is what I mean. Like, he'll do stuff like this, and you're just like, how does this guy miss? Like, if that's a bad shot for him, it makes me mad that people are this talented. I mean, share the talent with me, please, for the love of God.
Hey, I'll take some of it as well. We need to get some Space Jam style action and go to the Monstars and see what we can do there. But yeah, he made that shot against Anthony Davis as well.
Yeah.
in saying that. But let's change tack. Let's go to the East a little bit, Nick. Let's get to one of the superstar rookies of the Miami Heat. And there was some great praise from him, from Tim Legler and Scott Van Pelt on SportsCenter.
At 20, at this early stage of his career development, I mean, you know me, I hesitate to throw hyperbole around. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're looking at a star turn here, are we not?
Yeah, I think this guy has, I started thinking it maybe before the shutdown even, this guy has all-star capabilities. I'm talking about not just get there one time, like perennial all-star down the road.
A guy.
Give the guy a few years of seasoning, I think that's what his ceiling is.
Ooh, some high praise there. Tyler Herro has the ceiling of not just a one-time all-star, a perennial all-star. Jackie boy.
Wow. It's now that we sort of saw what happened today, or just yesterday, before that breakout performance where he had the most points scored by a rookie since Magic Johnson. You know, okay, that's pretty illustrious company, because Magic Johnson had probably the best rookie season in the history of this sport, in the history of this league. I think that I'll give it a Twitter, Nick, because I'm still not totally convinced by it. I think that he has an incredible skill set in terms of he does everything for a guy of his stature. Like, he doesn't have like athletic wingspan and all this sort of stuff that, you know, draft people love, but he rebounds incredibly. He has great court vision and awareness for a young player, and the dude can flat out score. He is a bucket. You know, to be the leading scorer and to be the number one option in a lot of respects, and in a lot of instances for a team that is on the verge of making the NBA Finals, is incredible. But perennial all-star, like the discussion for me, and I'll bring this to you as well, the fact that, you know, people are comparing him to, like, oh, he's better than Devin Booker, and I'm just like, all right, let's chill. Like, yes, Tyler Herro has the luxury of being in one of the best NBA organizations in the world in terms of player development, in terms of culture, in terms of all those sort of support networks that, you know, impact growth. And, you know, he hasn't had 4 different head coaches like Devin Booker has.
Yeah, that helps.
Maybe more. It certainly does help for stability and in terms of just winning. Devin Booker is an all-NBA caliber player. Like, you know, we were arguing last week about Bradley Beal and Chris Middleton. We very easily could have said Devin Booker. We saw what Devin Booker did before the Phoenix Suns had to leave. They won 8 straight games. Devin Booker scored one of the best buckets that we've seen in the past couple of months over Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. I think we need to temper it a little bit. Tyler Herro is doing a lot of great things on the court. Perennial all-star is immediate praise. I do think he can get there, but I think right now he needs to show us some consistency. He needs to do it night after night after night. Devin Booker is the number one option, night after night after night. He's getting the Kawhi Leonard thrown at him. You know, Tyler Herro had Marcus Smart on him in that 37-point performance, and he was hooping on one of the best, an all-NBA defender. You know, he was all-NBA defensive team, Marcus Smart. One of the best. We both think he was one of the best defensive players in the league. But, you know, I also do respect some of the stuff that Tyler Herro is doing off the court. And I've got a couple of links there that if you want to click on them, Nick, in terms of, you know, he's shooting his shot on the court. He's certainly shooting his shot off it in terms of his partner, who is a lovely Instagram influencer model, Katya Elise Henry, over like 6 million followers for her, and they're having fun together in the bubble. They've had fun together pre-bubble. The origins of their romance is immense. You can, whenever you, after you give a bit of your sort of spiel about what you think on this topic, click on a couple of those videos. They have quite a cute romance.
Yeah, I was having a look at them just on my little side screen. It is adorable. Perennial all-star for Tyler Herro. Are we talking, you know, we're talking Jason Tatum sort of levels of perennial all-star. That's what a perennial all-star is. It's a Jason Tatum line that's going to get there every year. I'm not buying it. Like, so far, his playoff series against Boston. I'll see if I can bring them up. Do some little fancy statsness.
Oh, he's got some stats.
So we see game log here from Tyler Herro. If I can... Oh, no, that's fine. Points scored, 12, 11, 22, 37, 14, and I think this is including yesterday's game. Yeah, 14. Obviously, he's a bench player at the moment, so that's not surprising. I'm a big plus-minus guy, despite the fact that in his 37 game, he had a -4. which is, the flaws in plus minus for sure. I mean, the points values aren't obviously indicative of a perennial all-star, but he is a bench player at the moment. He's got the confidence, he's got the swagger, and I think that is where all of this sort of...
That's a good point.
That's where it's all coming from.
Yep.
And it's this, like, he's got the attitude of an all-star. He's learning from the Dragic, he's learning from the Butlers, and he's sort of leeching off that level of confidence, and all power to him. He can 100% be a massive influence in this league. He's obviously a baller. He's obviously a very, very potent scorer. If Spo can get him off the bench, maybe next season he starts starting.
Well, I mean, he's closing for them, and then that's the important thing.
That's important. But minutes are important, I guess. Like, he's not getting your 37s to 40 minutes that your Jimmy Butlers are getting. He played 29. It's not a small amount by any stretch
for a rookie. Yeah,
exactly. But when you've got Duncan Robinson shooting 15, in that last game, obviously Jimmy Butler's going to get his shot. Jay Crowder's going to be shooting from the from three, and then when you play inside with Bam, the shots he's not high enough on the pecking order to warrant getting even. I don't think it'll be an all-star next season. But if we're talking, can he snag 2, 3, 4? Maybe. It depends on what sort of option he is on the team. If he's the number one option on a team, then he can definitely get some all-star buzz. But if he's going to be the number 3 or potentially even number 2 on a team that's not that successful, he may not make as many all-star games as people are predicting. It all depends on circumstance, obviously. He's got the talent, but perennial all-star is a little bit too much for me. I'm going Twitter on this one.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think I'll go Twitter as well. I think we have to give it because I think that's an ultimate ceiling for him. I think he does have that. While I give my final little spiel about it, Nick, show us those photos of the cute little romance that these guys got going on. I'll explain them a little bit as well. In terms of his flaw, you've sort of spoken about it and made the valid point of him coming off the bench. He's playing like a 6th man of the year. And, how cute is this sort of stuff that he's doing with his girl? Come on, you and Chelsea, couple goals here, my guy. And, on Twitter, I think there's a tweet there I put, Nick, from her Twitter account, where after that 37-point performance, someone was she put out, heart game 5 or something, or heart game 4. And she responded. And someone said, I hope you're giving Tyler the good lovin' because she's down there in Orlando.
I would share my screen right now, but there are some saucy responses to this to this tweet. But it's essentially one. She said one more, with the prayer. Prayers up.
Prayers up, and she's given a nice little Rihanna gif as well. Check out her.
She's right in. She's right in, and he's right in.
Jesus.
I had to throw that one in. That was good. But yeah, it's it's good. It's young love. It's beautiful.
I'll finish up. He's 20 and he shot his shot during quarantine, and he's just how you doing on what's up, sliding them DMs. She's 26, one of the most influential Instagram influencers, models, whatever. And they've got some cute young love going. We root for young love here on JBT, no doubt about that. But we'll go back to the West and to the recently eliminated Denver Nuggets. Now, this one, we're just got a bit of highlights so you guys can enjoy the awesomeness of Jamal Murray while we talk about him. Nick, this was brought up during the week because he's been just awesome. Jamal Murray is the next Stephen Curry.
This is an alternative fact. I'm going as hard as alternative because
okay. Why?
Steph Curry changed the game of basketball. He completely shifted.
Look at that shot. That's Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan made that shot.
The Maple Jordan. It was quite incredible. It's
insane. It's one of the best shots I've ever seen.
Listening to No Dunks. And I think Lee was saying that, you got to watch it in slow-mo. Completely disagree. You watch that. I'm going to rewind this. You watch this in fast-mo, and it's just the quickness of how he moves his hands is just, it's staggering. That shot, isolated incident, it is honestly insane. Obviously, it had LeBron James completely stunned. Obviously, thinking going for the dunk.
Watch it all day. I could watch this all day.
It was even better, like watching it real time, because it's something else. Like you watch it live. Even like you watch it in real time in the replays, doesn't hit as hard as watching it live. Because it's just coming out of nowhere. It's completely unexpected. Obviously, we saw the spin move.
Well, the spin.
We saw the spin move in the last series, in the first series. The guy is incredibly athletic, and he, that's been something that he has boasted for forever. Like he's been that athletic guy. We've seen a lot. I mean, that's another very good example of what he can do. But we're comparing him to Steph Curry here, who
he's all right.
He's not bad. He's an all right player. Unanimous MVP 2 times in a row. 3 champion.
He was unanimous MVP once.
Yes, but
MVP twice.
Twice in a row.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Broke every single 3-point record in the book, only to be broken then again by Klay Thompson. In some respects, and completely shifted how people watch basketball and how people defend basketballers. And I mean, he trained an entire generation now. Like, we're going to start seeing, the next time the Clippers have a draft pick, those players are in 6th grade right now. They could be the next Steph Currys, because
some of the kids that I'm teaching, maybe they'll be the next.
Exactly, they're all seeing. They all saw Steph play and the way he plays and how absolutely dynamic he is on and off the ball, and you can't compare Jamal Murray right now. There's no comparison. Steph Curry is an infinitely better legend of the game. That's what he is. He is a legend of this game.
Yeah, and you make a good point. I think we get caught up in the moment and don't appreciate what Jamal has been doing game after game after game, and just sort of be like, man, Jamal Murray is just doing Jamal Murray things, and we sort of just appreciate him for what he has been doing throughout this Orlando bubble situation. And he sort of elevated himself from being an inconsistent, flashy performer, like you mentioned, Nick, to being, a bona fide number 2 guy on a team, or number 1B on a team. Incredibly
consistent. And this is, one of the biggest knocks on him, especially from me, over the course of the regular season, because we see 30-point, 40-point games from Jamal Murray, 50-point games, and then he'll put up stinkers and the Nuggets will lose, But my God, if he has not changed my opinion of him over this playoffs. And Kyrie did the same thing. To me, really. Kyrie did this exact same thing. I was not a big Kyrie fan, and then 2016 happened. It was just like, the guy is insane, and I think I won't take Jamal Murray for granted unless he does an Andrew Wiggins and completely regresses after a good hot spell.
Yeah, I doubt that doing it in the situation that he's been doing it. It's similar to what Kyrie did. And I think that before we do move on, Nick, that's a decent comparison to make. Those layup packages that he was making,
100%.
Kyrie, only maybe Kyrie Irving is probably the other guy in the league who can do that. I think Jamal Murray is a little bit more conventionally athletic, but I think Kyrie Irving has greater basketball intelligence in terms of...
Kyrie has in dribble and in... Like, how tight his dribble is just insane. It's insane. Jamal Murray makes up for in just sheer athleticism. Like, it's like a Russ and Kyrie hybrid.
Remember the IT Crowd episode where they're talking about the football and Roy has no idea. He's talking about the footballers going up and down on the pitch.
He's running up and down. Such athleticism.
Whenever I hear the word athleticism, I always think that.
Such athleticism.
Guys, go check out IT Crowd. But we'll move on, Nick. We'll get to no video for this one, but a couple of tweets and a couple of articles that Nick will scroll through. Nick, a James Harden and Joel Embiid trade would benefit both Houston and Philadelphia. Now, I got this from Jay Clark, I think, and that first little tweet there from the James Harden and Joel Embiid one. Now, there are some heavy rumors, and hopefully by the time this episode's out, like Philadelphia don't hire Ime Udoka, and it makes this discussion completely null and void. It happens a lot to us. But for the sake of this exercise, there are some very strong rumors of Mike D'Antoni joining the Philadelphia 76ers as a head coach. Mm-hmm. With those rumors becoming more fervent were some new rumors about, maybe James Harden's going to go with him. Maybe he'll ask to be traded to Philadelphia. And that, in turn, is, okay, well, who do you give back to the Houston Rockets? You can't trade one of the 3 or 4 best players in the league away for nothing. And you put 2 and 2 together. It's either Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid. And I think that, for me, Nick, I'm going to go borderline Twicky. Borderline wiki with a Twicky. Not borderline Twicky, borderline wiki with a Twicky. Because I think that if you're looking at James Harden and how he would benefit the Philadelphia 76ers, him and Ben Simmons, oh my God. You can't
even measure the amount of creation that would be on that team. Like, it's
insane.
Yeah.
It would be. The Sixers are already kind of our second team anyway. We love Ben Simmons, so we're always following them. And even with Brett Brown leaving, he's always going to have a soft spot in our heart. Aussie Brett, sorry. But I also think if you're looking at it from the Houston Rockets side of things, that I think that Joel Embiid, if he were to get traded, would be like, all right, you guys traded me. I'll put that finger away. He'll be like, F you, I'm big. I'm going to get as fit as I've ever been, and I'm going to have an MVP season, and I'm going to lead this team in a way that I've never. And people were predicting him to win the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. And he had a lackluster season by his own lofty standards that he set for himself. Not just the media, he set them for himself. But I'll also give a mini shout out before you jump in, Nick, to Joel Embiid and his partner, who she had a lovely little baby. Apparently, Joel Embiid wants to have 11 of them. Chill, my guy. Just chill.
My guy.
Just one at a time. One at a time, Joel. One at a time, my friend. And just think.
Octuplets in there, like that'd be.
What is 11?
I know 12 is dodeca.
Yeah,
but then I don't know what 11. I don't know what 11 is.
No. We need some people we need to do these lives, and then people can correct us for us.
Yeah, that's right. I think if this trade were to happen, Rockets fans would riot. They would riot in the streets because we've seen discontent of and real detachment of the game sometimes from Joel Embiid. Obviously, complete superstardom. If we're ranking Joel Embiid and James Harden together, Harden is going to be much more favorable than Joel Embiid in a lot of people's eyes. Harden can score at will, really, and Joel Embiid seems to be caught up in his own feelings too often at the time. That being said, if you are the Philadelphia 76ers, oh man, this is a trade to do. You need shooting, and you get one of the best shooters in the game. You have Ben Simmons playing sole point guard, and you can hide him, and you can absolutely hide him. Not having the congestion that Ben Simmons and Embiid sort of create with each other. You have James Harden playing potentially off the ball quite a lot of possessions, which he did in OKC, and I know it was a long time ago, but he did it fucking well. He did it so well. And so, he seems to have lost a little bit of that at the Rockets. And I don't know whether that was Mike D'Antoni sort of, you don't have to, if you pass it off, then the play doesn't involve you. Don't overwork yourself. We need you in other possessions. It could have just come like that. But James Harden working off the ball creates such dynamic offense. We mentioned Steph Curry before, just similar to what Steph Curry does. His work off the ball contributes to how good he is as a player, and to have to, I guess just the thought of James Harden being able to fulfill that role again, Ben Simmons being unabated in his role, having a lot more freedom to, to cut to the hoop. Imagine like the amount of freaking pick and roll between Harden and Embiid, Harden and Simmons. I think if you're a 76ers fan, this is brilliant. Which is why this is an alternative fact for me, because this does not suit both parties. I think that was would benefit both. I don't think I think on paper it certainly does, but Houston need a solid leader in that roster right now that they don't have in Westbrook and Harden.
Totally fair, mate.
And Embiid doesn't offer that. Embiid does not offer that level of leadership.
Totally fair. Do you want to click on that second link before we move on? I want to see the cute little baby, the media MBC.
The media one, yeah. Okay,
yeah.
We're doing.
Let's take a look at Joel Embiid's cute little child. Aww.
I mean, we can see the top of his cheek. I guess
it's a heartwarming photo, Nicholas.
It is.
Heartwarming photo. Shout out to Embiid and his family and to his partner. Let's move on, Nick, and we will get to the Los Angeles Clippers. No videos for this one, but a couple of tweets and an article from OTGBasketball.com to have a little bit of a scroll through. The Clippers off-season, Nick, will determine their championship status in 2021. Now, if you click on that first tweet, it surmises everything quite perfectly, and we can sort of read through it for those who are listening to. On the podcast, on the audio platform. In fact, Nick, you read us through it because you can see it a bit better than I can.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure how well. Hopefully it comes out pretty good on the stream.
You want me to read it, mate?
After you, sir, please.
Thank you. We're just handballing it back. It's like the Western Bulldogs playing offense. So this is via @Brandon Raba. Clippers locker room is unhappy. Marcus Morris and seventh man of the year.
Seventh man.
That's a good one. Sorry, Magus. Seventh man of the year, Montrezl Harrell, are both free agents. Lou Williams has 1 year remaining. Kawhi and PG can opt out after next year. Clippers have no tradable first-round picks to improve. OKC owns their draft from 2022 to 2026. There's a lot there, Nick. There's a lot there, and I guess it rounds everything up into a nice little package, as Homer would say, to be able to go, all right, what is this offseason for the Los Angeles Clippers going to look like? What are their priorities? Are they re-signing Montrezl Harrell? Does the fact that he had a poor Orlando on-court experience, on-court his production, does that lower his value and make it easier to retain him? Does he fit in as a championship player in the rotation? Does Lou Williams fit? Both of those guys were attacked mercilessly by the Denver Nuggets in their semifinal matchup. It was just like, man, and how much of that was Montrezl Harrell lack of fitness and lack of conditioning? Probably some of it, but I also do think that he's not a good defender, and he's not a good guy to be part of a closing lineup for your team. Marcus Morris, JaMychal Green, Patrick Beverley, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. For me, that was the best lineup that we didn't see enough from Doc Rivers. And, we haven't even mentioned Doc Rivers and whether he should be sticking around. So for me, Nick, this offseason, this is fact. That what Lawrence Frank and the front office do, Steve Ballmer in terms of the priorities that he has, I think for me, the number one thing that they need, and you might agree with this, you might not, they need a point guard. Because we've seen Kawhi Leonard have his most success with a guard who can create for others and create for him, find him better options. Kawhi Leonard was probably the best passer on the Clippers this season in a lot of instances, and he had so much of a burden on both ends of the floor. Yes, that game 7 was pretty poor from him, but most players, if not all players, have blips on their radar in terms of the postseason performances. Who's that player going to be? I don't know. Derrick Rose has been thrown up. Kyle Lowry's been thrown up. But they need a point guard. Kawhi Leonard's performed well with Tony Parker. He's performed well with Kyle Lowry. I think he needs that as much, if not more, than Paul George performing at his best.
I'm not entirely sure how the money is sort of distributed in the Clippers. In fact, I can probably. Oh, I certainly can get it up. Hold on. Let me do some crazy stuff. Oh my God, what am I doing? Oh my God. There we go. Hopefully you guys can read that. I might zoom in a little bit. So a lot of money tied up in that high end, as you can see. We can do the finger thing means the taxes. But I know of a certain high-profile guard that is a unrestricted free agent. He's a free agent.
Who are you talking about?
Freddie Van Vliet.
Oh, FVV. The baby maker.
I don't know how well, obviously given the contracts there, well a max. Because he'll demand a max. And he'll get a max from someone.
I don't think he'll get a max. I think he'll get 18 to 25.
I think Raptors will offer him a max. If no one else does, Raptors... You don't reckon they'll try hard to retain Fred Van Vliet?
So they'll definitely try very hard to retain him.
And that doesn't mean a max.
You've got Pascal Siakam and Fred Van Vliet on a max. Kyle Lowry's on
I'm not saying it's good, but I think he'll demand that, and I think it's an Otto Porter situation. Someone will pay him max money.
I don't see. Look, the teams that do have cap space, the Knicks, the Hawks, the Hornets. I think the Knicks. The Knicks are a legitimate shot at throwing a heap of money, whether that's a max at him, Nick. And if you want to click on that article from OTGbasketball.com, there's some good little tidbits there from my guy Joe McCarr, who's been doing some awesome recaps with me and Nick Boylan, a better version of a Nick B than the one that I'm talking to right now.
Hot take. No, I completely agree. I've been listening to those JBT recaps, and he knows his stuff, and he's Aussie, and he's Nick, and he's B. So, I mean, he's better than me in every way. Let's be real.
But in saying that, Nick, I actually didn't think of Fred VanVleet. I think you do. I mean, the finger thing.
I say this almost every podcast. I don't get into the whole contracts thing. I just see a very, very good point guard with an NBA championship that has sort of been underneath Kyle Lowry for years now, who literally played with Kawhi Leonard. I think that's a good move for the Clippers.
It's a good one. That's a really good one. I respect it.
Yeah, it's just money. I don't know how it's going to work out, and if that means you need to let go of a fucking Marcus Morris,
Montrez, Lou Will, these
guys. I think it's better. Like, a lot was said about the depth of the Clippers this year, but they lost to the Nuggets. I mean, I'm not disparaging the Nuggets. I'm sorry. They lost to Denver. So it's not good. They need to actually get into the phase of being competitive, and they were completely shot in against that Nuggets team. They need a Marcus Smart in there. They need someone to bust their ass, because Paul George ain't doing it, and no one's listening to Paul George because he's. I guess Pat Bev is that guy. Kawhi's not that guy. The coach can't be that guy. I don't believe. I don't think Doc. I think you lose your locker room if it's not a player. But you need a Marcus Smart, and I think Kyle Lowry was that Marcus Smart for the Raptors. Kyle Lowry was the glue. You need a glue guy.
Yeah, or Fred VanVleet for that matter. So yeah, maybe if Masai, but it's interesting as well, because you look at the relationship. Kawhi Leonard left Toronto to go to the Los Angeles Clippers. I doubt that there's going to be any sign and trades being made. With Lawrence Flake and Masai Ujiri. It's like, you guys took our franchise superstar. We're not giving you anything unless you give us another 8 picks. So then we'll have to get 4th graders and draft 4th graders going forward rather than 6th graders.
The Clippers' air of desperation will kill them in the market.
It could.
Because, they'll either have to give up most of their depth, which could hurt them. I think that's the way to go. But, they either need to give up most of their depth, or they need to delve into, completely mortgaging even more their entire future, their second-round picks. You're talking massive trade packages because they don't have first-round picks to deal anymore.
Yep.
Maybe they try to sell high on people like Montrez or Lou Will. Like Lou Will's very
maybe they
coveted.
trade Paul George, Nick.
You need to trade someone with. So you can actually see the eye rolls now. It's great. You need to trade someone with high value, and Lou Will, Montrez, right up there. Marcus Morris. The Morris brothers seem to always land somewhere. They're just gritty guys, so they'll pick up places. Sell high on players that you've sort of made. Get some assets, and then maybe you can move some stuff then. But right now, it's looking fairly dire for the Clippers. And as you said, all of those contracts expiring. If nothing happened to next season, they could be rebuilding again.
Oh, it's a big take. I like it, Nick. I like it when you give me some of those takes. I like it even more when you're doing all this fancy stuff with videos and articles as well. But we've got a couple more to get to, Nick. And there was a coach that was hired this week, and that was Billy Donovan for the Chicago Bulls. I sent a text to my brother. I'm like, "Here's your coach." He didn't even respond. So clearly he cares so much about Billy Donovan. But Nick, Billy Donovan will make the Bulls a playoff contender in 2021.
I think that's more indicative of your brother, because this is very exciting news for Chicago Bulls fans, because not only is Billy Donovan in, he's bringing in his staff, which is great, because you're just weeding out more of the crap that you've had at Chicago, which is just tremendous. It is weird though. Before I get to this, it is weird because Billy Donovan didn't want the OKC gig because they were rebuilding, but then he's gone to playoffs, so to Chicago. I guess they've already got the picks there. They're like maybe 2 years ahead of OKC.
And then
I don't know. It just felt weird. It just.
It's a totally fair point. I think other people have made it as well. What I would say against that is, I believe he was offered some sort of extension, but it was only a year or two. Probably not the greatest amount of compensation. Also, he may have been heard from Arturas Karnisovas and the front office there in Chicago, like, hey, we need a coach. We'll give you this amount of money. We'll give you 4 years. You get to live in Chicago, one of the coolest cities in America. And, you're in an Eastern Conference where there's obviously some pressure, but you're in a market rather than OKC. No slights at all to the Oklahoma City market, but I think that those things in return, having some job security. And I think if you click on that Shams Charania tweet, Nick, the third one, I think it shows how much he was compensated, at least reportedly compensated. And it's a decent amount of money, because, the Chicago Bulls haven't hired coaches in the past that have had NBA experience. And in saying that, this is one of the first guys in a very, very long time that actually has NBA experience. I would have advocated for Kenny Atkinson personally. Obviously, I'm a big Kenny Atkinson fan. Being
player development makes a lot of sense,
Yep. But then also in saying that as well, Billy Donovan and how he has developed Shai Gilgeous-Alexander this season.
Very true.
But then how much of that was Chris Paul and such. So I do think Billy Donovan is a good coach. I don't think he's the best coach in the NBA. I think he's a good enough coach. Will he make them a playoff contender? I mean, you're going from the worst coach maybe since I've ever been following basketball, Nick.
It's an addition. It's an addition via subtraction, which is tremendous. Like that's it. Could have. They could have hired me.
It's multiplication by subtraction.
It's going to be that much better. You've got an NBA proven guy, which is a surprise for the Bulls. It seems the past two coaches have not had NBA experience. And it's good. It's just overall good news, I think. Maybe Donovan sees a lot in Kobe White. Donovan's
Zach LaVine came out on Twitter and was
he was
quite enthused
he was happy.
It. Oh, no, he was on. Wasn't
he? He was on. He was streaming. He was streaming Warzone. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
But, hey, Zach. If you want to come on here, we're doing some streaming things now, mate. You can talk about all your video gamesies.
That's right.
Nick's a gamer.
That's right. Not big on the Warzone, but I've been playing a lot of Counter-Strike lately. Okay. I'm very bad, but I'm learning. I'm learning where all the smokes goes, where all the mollies.
Whenever I hear like I'm bad, I automatically think of Newman from Space Jam. I may not be very good, but I'm slow.
We made that quote last week, I'm fairly sure. We said that on the podcast last week. It's such an important part of our lives, Space Jam.
Yes, it is. But Nick, I guess getting back to the topic, and if you want to open that ESPN article from Woj, it details, I guess, a bit more about the hiring process and all of the rest of the things. I think that Billy Donovan, I mean, the Bulls was kind of on the precipice this year already. I mean, if you take out Jim Boylan from this season's Chicago Bulls team and you implant Billy Donovan, do they make the playoffs? I mean, the Orlando Magic were okay. We were pretty poor in the latter parts of the season. We finished 7th. Orlando Magic finished 8th. I think that they're going to make I'd be surprised if they don't make the playoffs next year. They were probably my 8th seed. I can't remember. Man, we need to revisit some of our preseason predictions. But, you look at Wendell Carter. He's like a new age Al Horford. And funnily enough, Billy Donovan coached Al Horford in college. You've got Zach LaVine, who I think could take another step forward. And I think under a good coach can certainly do that. You mentioned Kobe White. Larry Markkinen, can he get his career back on track? He's obviously still really young, but I think a good coach can really unlock him. And then, obviously, Otto Porter Jr., Nicholas. No, I'm joking. But yeah.
Sadoransky, get on the ex-Wizards.
The Chicago Wizards are insane. Maybe we need to do the Wizards woes music right now. I forgot to tell you. But I think Billy Donovan will add something to this team, like you mentioned, multiplication by subtraction. Yeah.
It's just overall good news. I mean, I'm not going to keep repeating myself. Exciting time for a Bulls fan. Will they make the playoffs? Nah, I'm a little bit more skeptical than you. Obviously, the Magic could potentially leave, but then do the Wizards get better?
Oh, come on.
Hey, John Wall's coming back.
Oh, please.
Hey, that might be a huge boon for us.
If he's not doing gang signs, then maybe.
I mean, I'm not.
Did you see?
Yeah, I know. I did. He apologized. He's still an idiot. He doesn't have the maturity of a full-blown superstar.
Dude, he's my age.
I know.
Sure
this is what I mean.
29 or 30.
And this is the sad part about him. But we could be a much better team. No, we're not going to be. I'm just grasping at straws, let's be honest. Best of luck to the Chicago Bulls for the next season, but it is very good news.
It is indeed. Nick, I have no idea how you're going to do it, but can you play Brooklyn bits for me?
No.
Okay, cool. We'll just get to the Brooklyn Nets because I haven't talked about the Brooklyn Nets much on this, and I'm not doing as many Brooklyn Buzz episodes these days, so I wanted to get one little cheeky topic in there, Nicholas. And if you not click on that article for me, because this is where it came from. The origins of this topic come from the New York Daily News and Vince Carter speaking to Christian Winfield. DeAndre Jordan is the Nets' third star, Nicholas. He's the third star. We don't need Bradley Beal. You can keep him. We got DeAndre Jordan, mate. What are you going to do about it, huh? We got DeAndre Jordan. Or maybe we'll trade it for Thomas Bryant, then you get your third star.
This is a nightmare of a situation to be in, Jack. You don't want DeAndre Jordan to be your third star. That being said, I shouldn't say it's a nightmare situation because your current situation, your first 2 stars, are pretty good. They're all right. They're not too bad. They're not too bad. I've heard of Kevin Durant. I've heard of him before. He was the guy from Thunderstruck, right? I know his film repertoire.
Good movie.
But yeah, I mean, you can see some highlights here from DeAndre Jordan. He's all right. I mean, is Dwight Howard the third superstar in the Lakers? Is he going to make that Dwight Howard level of resurgence? I don't think so. I don't know. That's pretty much all I've got to say on it. DeAndre Jordan is the Nets' third star. By God, I certainly hope not. You've got Karis LeVert. You've got bloody Jared Allen, Spencer Windiddy, that I hope will all surpass DeAndre Jordan in that third star spot.
Yeah,
it could change game to game. Like for me, it'll change game to game. But you need one of those guys to play to ball. If you want to win a championship, really, you need one of those guys to be a baller.
Yeah, and of course you didn't mention the greatest player in the game, Joe Harris, which is disgusting of you.
I'm sorry.
And we will be ending this podcast very, very soon, and I'll be having some stern words with you, sir. You mentioned Jared Allen. He's not even the best center on this roster anymore. And I know that KD and Kyrie don't think that, and it's part of the reason probably why Kenny Atkinson got fired. yes, DeAndre Jordan is still dunking. He's still strong. He still throws some okay assists every now and then. And he's still a good leader and a good locker room presence. But third star, man, Vince Carter. I don't know, like, I feel like, I think I put this out on Twitter. I feel like Vince Carter would be a better third star for the Brooklyn Nets. Former New Jersey Net superstar
And
Vince Carter, that is.
Jackie boy, I don't want to nitpick as well. Looking at these highlights, granted this one's coming against Boston. There is a lot of highlights against the Knicks, against Charlotte, against Sacramento.
Miami. That's Miami.
That's the Miami, I
They're in the
guess.
finals, Nick. They're about to make the finals.
Oh my. But no, continue.
I think you hit the nail on the head. He's maybe the 8th best player on the roster right now. You know, Caris LeVert is played absolutely tremendously in Orlando. That has been said plenty. We don't need to speak about that. We don't even need highlights for that. And, you know, Joe Harris, I think is continuing to grow as a player, and hopefully Joe Tsai digs deep into his pockets to pay him what he does deserve in this offseason. And, you know, Spencer Windiddy, as you love to call him, is an incredible player as well, whether it be off the bench or as a third sort of ancillary player alongside KD and Kyrie, ball handling, playing off the ball, playing some decent sort of point guard defense. Yeah, I will echo your sentimonies, as our friend Barnard Gumble would say. I goddamn hope not. So, alternative fact with a capital A and F.
Damn right. All right, Jackie boy. That just about does it. Thank you for joining us on this very special, very first debut edition of Just Ball Things video. Make sure you give us a subscribe to OTG. I need to write a new spiel now, so I need to follow us on Twitter. Wait, let me see if I can do this. Yeah, there we go. Let's see if Jack can do it. Nope, he can't do it.
I'm doing it.
Follow us on Twitter at JBTNick, at the JmanJBT. You can catch us on the Nothing But Net Dash Radio channel. As always, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Spotify, Spreaker. Anywhere it is you listen to your podcast, we will be there. We're also on YouTube. OTG Basketball, search for them on YouTube. Give them a subscribe, hit the notification bell, all of that YouTube stuff that I need to get into my repertoire now. And yeah, leave us a rating, review, comment, like, subscribe, all that BS. You know, you've watched enough YouTube videos to know what the hell to do. So remember, it's you guys that make the show great, so we appreciate any and every post heading our way. So until next week.
Keep ballin', superstars.